Forget what you've seen in science fiction. What we're about to dive into is a very real global race for technology that's set to hit a critical point by 2026. We're talking about the battle for the next generation of artificial intelligence. And believe me, it's poised to change, well, pretty much everything. So think for a second about the AI you use right now. It can help you write an email, maybe it'll answer a question for you. But what if it could actually perform the complex, multi-step tasks that really make up your job? That's the huge leap we are on the verge of witnessing. And the term you're going to hear a lot more is agentic AI. Now, this is not just a fancier chatbot. We're talking about an AI that you can give a high-level goal to, and it can reason about how to get there, create a plan, and then go out and execute that plan, all while correcting its own mistakes. It's literally an AI that acts as your agent. Okay, so that brings us to the battle itself. Right now, we are watching a full-blown competition between the tech giants, OpenAI, Google, Meta, and even entire nations, all of them racing to be the first to build and control this incredibly powerful new AI. And the year they've all circled on their calendars? You guessed it, 2026. So what's actually at stake here? Why the massive rush? Well, for one, there's the Holy Grail, achieving artificial general intelligence, AGI. But in the short term, it's about securing what's basically a winner-takes-all monopoly. Whoever wins this race could literally set the rules for the entire global economy. It's about owning the AI that does the work. And for countries, it's about sovereignty, not being dependent on anyone else for this critical tech. So, what does it even take to compete in a race this huge? Let me tell you, it's not just about writing some clever code. This is a battle of physical, real-world resources. It's a genuine industrial-scale revolution. It really all boils down to these four critical things. First, you need the hardware. We're talking the absolute best AI chips money can buy. Then, you need an unimaginable amount of energy to power them. You also need massive, high-quality datasets to train them. And finally, you need the talent, that very small pool of elite researchers who can actually build these systems. And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're dealing with, this isn't some abstract digital-only race. This is a battle that's being fought with gigawatts and gigawatts of power. Seriously, we're talking about data centers that consume as much energy as a small country. Companies are literally restarting dormant power plants just to get enough juice to feed these AI models. It's incredible. And all of that power is being pumped directly into armies of AI chips. We're not talking about a few computers in a server room. These are colossal clusters of hundreds of thousands of high-end GPUs, all networked together to act like a single gigantic brain. So how does all this stuff actually create something so intelligent? Well, it starts with just scaling the compute power, building these massive data centers. But then comes the real magic, something called inference reasoning. This is where the AI doesn't just spit out the first answer it thinks of. It actually takes time to think, to check its own work, and to correct its own mistakes. And that ability is what unlocks these agentic workflows, where the AI can take a huge goal, like build me a new website from scratch, and then just do it. It breaks it down into all the little steps and executes them one by one. All right, so we've got the technology, we've got this insane race to build it, but what happens when it actually arrives? Well, all the predictions are pointing toward a massive economic shock, and it's aimed squarely at the labor market. This really illustrates the domino effect perfectly. Step one, these AI agents start doing white-collar office jobs, and they do them cheaper and better than people can. So step two, companies, always looking to cut costs, adopt them incredibly quickly. That leads right to step three, demand for human knowledge workers plummets. And the end result? The value, the money, shifts away from labor, wages for people, and moves to capital, to the people who own the AI. And hey, that's not me being dramatic. The analysts who are studying this transition are using phrases just like this one, a brutal shock, to describe how fast and how big this disruption could be. It's a pretty stark warning about the pace of change we could all be facing very soon. Now, I know this all sounds pretty intense, maybe even a little scary, but the goal here isn't to be an alarmist, it's to be prepared. So, what does all this really mean for your career? And how can you start adapting to this new age of AI agents? It looks like the future of work is going to split right down the middle. In one column, you've got the high-risk roles. Think repetitive digital tasks, basic data entry, simple coding, writing formulaic copy.
But in the other column, you have the safer roles, jobs that need you to be there in person, jobs that require high emotional intelligence, or really complex, high-stakes strategic thinking. The name of the game is moving yourself from that first column over to the second.
So how do you actually make that move? Well, it's by developing a totally new skill set that people are calling agent ops. The best way to think about it is like this. You become a manager, but not of people. You're the manager of a team of super efficient AI agents. Your job won't be to do the work, but to configure, manage, and direct the AI that does. Okay, now before we get too far ahead of ourselves, it's really important to remember that this future isn't a sure thing. There's some enormous technical and societal hurdles that could slow this whole race down or change its direction completely. Honestly, the biggest roadblock might be a physical one. Is there even enough power? The grid is already strained. Then you've got the technical risks. AIs can still hallucinate. They just confidently make stuff up, which is a huge problem. Then there's the societal question. Can we adapt fast enough to avoid massive social unrest if jobs disappear too quickly? And of course, the giant security threat. How in the world do you keep these hyper-capable AIs from being stolen or misused? So look, the race is undeniably on. The money is being spent, the massive data centers are being built, and that 2026 finish line is getting closer every single day. The real question isn't whether this technology is coming. It is. The question is, are we, as individuals and as a society, truly prepared for what happens when it gets here?